I'd like to see more of the community coming together like this, because you don't see that much anymore.
There's been individuals that have succumbed to hypothermia.
Seeing a person on a stretcher wheeled away by paramedics in freezing temperatures.
We're all just waiting to go to the West Side Shelter.
It's a harsh reminder of how hard the cold hits those living on the street.
You know, I've dealt with a lot of things in life, from loss to come-ups to you name it.
It's winter. In Philadelphia, the sidewalks are frozen. The wind doesn't ask questions. It just takes heat and time. While most of the city sleeps indoors, 9,800 people step into the cold with nowhere to go. Some stop moving just to rest. Others keep walking just to stay alive. Below freezing, the body burns energy faster, the mind slows, and every decision matters. Isn't a headline here. It's part of the cold. This isn't about numbers. It's about minutes and nights. That decide who survives. Philadelphia freezes every winter. But the real question is this: who makes it through the night and who doesn't? Welcome to Philadelphia, where winter turns sidewalks into ice and survival into a daily fight. In this film, we look at the Philadelphia homeless crisis, nearly 9,800 people facing frozen streets and long winter nights with nowhere to go. This isn't about shock, it's about awareness. If this story matters to you, like the video and subscribe. Now, let's step into winter in America. Chapter 1. When winter takes control. Frozen streets, closed doors, and the first night outside. Winter arrives in Philadelphia, quietly. But for people without a home, its impact is immediate. Temperatures fall below freezing. Sidewalks harden into ice. Snow fills parks, bus stops, doorways, and underpasses. The same places many unhoused people rely on just to pause, rest, or survive. Cold works faster than hunger. Hands lose feeling. Feet stay wet for hours. Wind cuts through thin layers of clothing never meant for winter nights. Sleep becomes dangerous. Too much stillness can drain body heat. But staying awake brings exhaustion and confusion. For nearly 9,800 people experiencing homelessness, winter turns every hour into a decision. Where can I block the wind? How long before my body shuts down? Do I keep moving or stop and risk everything? As snow falls, the city retreats indoors. Heaters turn on. Doors close. Lights glow behind warm windows. Outside, winter doesn't slow down. It tightens its grip minute by minute. This is only the first night. And once winter takes control of the streets, survival becomes uncertain, even before the cold reaches its worst. Because as the nights grow colder, what winter takes next isn't just warmth, it's control. Chapter 2. When the cold breaks you slowly, endless nights, fading strength, and winter's quiet damage. Winter nights in Philadelphia don't just feel long, they stretch, hour after hour, without mercy. Darkness arrives early. The sun disappears behind frozen buildings. Temperatures keep falling, and for people without shelter, night is when winter shows its full force. Concrete pulls heat from the body the moment someone sits down. Wind slices through thin coats, through soaked shoes, through layers never meant to face snow and ice. Hands stiffen. Toes go numb. Breathing becomes sharp and shallow. Sleep is no longer rest. It breaks into pieces. 5 minutes. 10 minutes, sometimes less. Staying still for too long risks hypothermia, but moving nonstop drains the body until legs shake and balance begins to fail. Cold exhaustion doesn't arrive suddenly. It creeps in quietly. Thoughts slow. Reaction time fades. Judgment weakens. Simple decisions turn dangerous. One missed warming center, one lost glove, one wrong place to sit can push the body past its limit. During extreme cold, emergency shelters open. Lines form outside. Beds fill fast. Doors close. Some people arrive too late. Others never go in, carrying trauma, fear, illness, or memories that make crowded spaces feel unsafe. So they stay outside, because winter leaves them no easy choices. Above ground, the city shuts down for the night. Traffic fades. Stores close. Warm lights glow behind locked doors. Outside, the cold keeps moving. It doesn't pause. It doesn't warn. Hour by hour, it strips strength away. Not all at once, but slowly, patiently. And as the nights grow colder, winter stops testing survival and begins deciding who has any strength left for what comes next. Chapter 3. When winter turns deadly quiet, isolation, and the cold that erases second chances. Winter doesn't arrive with sirens. It arrives by taking sound away. Philadelphia freezes, and the streets slowly empty out. Footsteps disappear. Voices fade. Doors close. Windows seal tight against the cold. For most people, that silence feels calm. For people living outside, it becomes dangerous. In warmer months, someone notices when a body stops moving. Someone hears a call for help. In winter, there are fewer witnesses. People spread out to escape the wind. They slip into stairwells, under bridges, behind buildings where warmth might last a little longer. But every step away from the crowd is also a step away from safety. There are no warnings. No time to react. Cold slows breathing. Exhaustion weakens the body. Thoughts blur, and when someone is alone, help doesn't arrive late. It doesn't arrive at all. Outreach workers say winter steals time. Less time to notice danger. Less time to respond. Less time before a moment becomes irreversible. One decision, made while shaking, numb, and exhausted, can quietly turn fatal. If this story matters to you, take a moment to like the video, because awareness is one of the few things winter cannot freeze. Above ground, the city keeps moving. Trains run. Calves stay warm. People rush between heated spaces. Just steps away, the cold waits. And as winter grows quieter each night, danger doesn't need noise. It only needs time and no one watching. Chapter 4. When help runs out, overcrowded shelters, emergency warnings, and the night the doors close. When winter turns severe, help becomes urgent. During freezing cold snaps in Philadelphia, emergency alerts go out, warming centers open, shelters extend hours. But winter moves faster than resources. Within hours, beds fill. Lines stretch down the block, doors begin to close. Some people arrive minutes too late. Others are turned away quietly, with nowhere else to go. Recent winter emergency briefings warn that. Extreme cold nights push shelters beyond capacity, forcing outreach teams into impossible decisions: who gets inside, and who stays out in the cold. For many, shelters are not a simple answer. Overcrowding, health risks, past trauma, fear of conflict or theft. So some choose the cold, because it feels more predictable than the unknown inside. Outside, temperatures keep falling. Wind sharpens, ice hardens along the streets. Outreach workers move fast, handing out blankets, hot drinks, last-minute directions, trying to buy people a few more hours. Above ground, the city hears the alerts, then returns indoors. But below those warnings, real lives are left waiting. And when shelters fill and doors close, winter doesn't end the danger. It pushes it deeper into the night, toward risks no warning can stop. Chapter 5. When the body starts to fail. Frostbite. Illness and injuries winter never gives back. Winter doesn't always arrive as an emergency. Sometimes it begins quietly. A numb finger, wet socks that never dry, a cough that lingers one day too long. On frozen streets, small problems don't stay small. Cold cuts circulation first. Blood slows, skin hardens, feeling fades. And when pain disappears, damage is already happening. Frostbite doesn't scream for attention. It whispers. Tingling, numbness, then silence. One long winter night, without warmth, can turn a minor injury permanent. Illness spreads faster in the cold. Flu moves through crowded spaces. Respiratory infections deepen. Open wounds refuse to heal. The body, already drained by sleepless nights and constant movement, has less strength left to fight back. Medical outreach teams report a sharp winter rise in emergencies, not from accidents, but from exposure. Feet swollen beyond walking, hands unable to grip, infections ignored too long, because survival came first. For people living outside, seeking medical care isn't simple. Transportation is limited. Fear of being dismissed is real. So many wait, until waiting becomes dangerous. Here's the truth winter teaches quickly. The cold doesn't injure all at once. It takes pieces, slowly, until the body can't recover what's lost. Above ground, winter feels manageable. Jackets zip up, cars warm in minutes. Heaters erase discomfort. But on the streets, the body absorbs every degree of cold. And as injuries quietly pile up, winter stops threatening survival and begins keeping what it has already taken. Chapter 6. One step too late, when outreach meets the cold before sunrise. Winter doesn't knock, it arrives already inside. While the city sleeps, outreach teams move through streets. Most people never notice. Frozen sidewalks, dark underpasses, alleys buried in shadow. They aren't counting numbers. They're searching for signs of life. A body that hasn't moved, a face too pale, hands that won't respond. Every winter night becomes a race, not against a clock, but against cold settling into the body. They carry blankets, hot drinks, medical kits, and one quiet hope, that they aren't too late. Because sometimes they are. Outreach workers describe finding people, already slipping into hypothermia, speech slowed, eyes unfocused, bodies too weak to stand. Some don't even realize how cold they are anymore. That's when winter is winning. Convincing someone to move, to stand, to trust a voice, can mean the difference between life and loss. But fear stands in the way. Fear of shelters, fear of crowds, fear of being treated like a problem. Instead of a person. So voices stay calm. Names are repeated. Trust is built in minutes. Because winter doesn't allow more. Sometimes help arrives just in time. Sometimes the cold has already decided. Above ground, morning comes, traffic returns. Below that routine, someone didn't make it through the night. And as winter tightens its grip, one question refuses to fade. If this happens every year, who is supposed to stop it? And why does the cold keep deciding first? Chapter 7. When the cold moves inside, isolation, mental survival, and the quiet collapse of hope. Winter doesn't only freeze the streets, it slowly moves inside the mind. As nights grow longer, silence grows heavier. And for people living outside, that silence is never calm. Days blur together. Sleep never fully comes. Time begins to lose meaning. Without warmth, without privacy, without stability, the mind starts shutting down. Quietly. Focus fades. Memory slips. Simple decisions feel overwhelming. Mental health workers warn that winter doesn't break people suddenly. It weakens them. Piece by piece. Anxiety sharpens, depression settles in, and survival becomes the only thought left. During winter, isolation deepens. People speak less, trust less. Hope thins, almost unnoticed. Some stop asking for help, not because they don't need it, but because they no longer believe it will come. Above ground, winter feels temporary, a season to wait out. On the streets, it feels endless. And when the mind begins to give up, before the body does, choices change, risks increase. Isolation turns dangerous, because when winter takes hold of the mind, the question is no longer how cold it is outside, but how long someone still believes they are worth saving. Chapter 8. When the story shifts, winter forces a reckoning America can't avoid. Winter doesn't just test people, it tests systems. As Philadelphia freezes, something else becomes impossible to ignore. Emergency alerts sound. Warming centers open. Shelters extend hours. From far away, the response looks organized. Up close, it feels fragile. Beds fill within hours. Staff stretch thin. Resources bend, then strain. Winter exposes a pattern. Help arrives late, temporary, and only when the crisis can no longer be hidden. For the rest of the year, the streets wait. This isn't only about cold weather. It's about housing that never came, healthcare that stayed out of reach, support systems built to react, not to prevent. In one of the wealthiest countries on earth, survival still depends on a temperature forecast. Above ground, meetings happen, reports are written, numbers are reviewed. Below those decisions, real lives absorb the delay. Winter forces an uncomfortable truth into the open. If help only shows up during emergencies, then the emergency never really ends. And when the snow melts, nothing is fixed. The crisis doesn't disappear. It simply becomes easier to ignore. Because this is where the story shifts, where winter stops being the excuse, and the question becomes whether America is ready to face what the cold has been revealing all along. Chapter 9. What still works, small wins, human effort, and the hope that refuses to die. Winter exposes what's broken, but quietly, it reveals something else. People still show up. Before sunrise, community kitchens open, hands move fast. Steam rises from hot food, not knowing who will arrive, only knowing someone will. Outreach workers return, night after night, learning names, remembering faces, earning trust, one conversation at a time. These efforts don't end homelessness. They don't defeat winter, but they interrupt it. A blanket buys warmth. A hot drink buys time. A familiar face buys trust. Sometimes that's the line between making it through the night and not. Across the city, small programs prove something dangerous. Housing first works. Mental health care with shelter works. Addiction support without punishment works. But these programs stay small, underfunded, quiet, easy to ignore. Above ground, they don't trend, they don't shock, they don't go viral. Below that silence, they save lives. And here's the part that should make us uncomfortable. If these small efforts work, even a little, then the problem isn't a lack of solutions, it's a lack of will to scale them. Before winter decides again, because as hope survives one night at a time, the story moves toward its final question. What happens when we stop calling this survival and start calling it a choice? Chapter 10. After the snow melts, the choice that decides everything. Winter doesn't last forever. The snow melts, the ice breaks, the city moves on, streets clear, traffic returns, life speeds up again. But the people winter tested are still here when temperatures rise. Emergency alerts stop. Warming centers close. The urgency fades. Homelessness doesn't disappear with the cold. It simply becomes quieter. Less visible, easier to ignore. Sidewalks feel normal again. Windows stay open. And attention shifts elsewhere. But for thousands, nothing truly changes. This story doesn't end with winter. It ends with a choice. Do we wait for the next forecast, the next emergency alert, the next winter headline to care again? Or do we decide that survival should never depend on the weather or the season? Solutions exist. They always have. Housing that comes first. Care without punishment. Support that lasts longer than a few cold months. What's missing isn't awareness. It isn't data. It isn't proof. It's action. When there's no snow forcing our attention. Because if winter keeps deciding who survives the night, then the real ending isn't written by the cold, it's written by what we choose to live with. Once the snow is gone, and no one is watching anymore. If this story made you pause, or see winter differently, then stay with us. These stories don't end. When the snow melts. Subscribe for real voices, real lives, and stories that matter. Beyond the season. Because the cold returns, and so should the conversation.